Hi, my name is Bob Mattice. I'm a local pharmacist in Cold Lake, and it's my privilege today to come and talk with everybody about the Alberta take-home naloxone kit. It's a lifesaver. It can prevent harm, and it can save lives for people with an overdose to opioids. So I'll talk to you a little bit about everything that I have to tell you, and then show you actually how to do it. So basically, we'll start with the principle of self-harm is to help people, whether they're taking opioid drugs, to save their lives. Inadvertently, many people are overdosing on drugs that they don't know what's in them. So that's a big issue, and no judgment at all whatsoever with the naloxone kit. It's just simply to save your brother, your sister, your grandma, etc. So today will be just how to use the naloxone kit and what is it. The naloxone kits are free in Alberta. The government provides them for free. You can get them at local pharmacies just by asking, and you don't have to, a big part of this is you don't have to identify yourself to anybody. You can say, I would please like a naloxone kit, and the pharmacist should take the time to train you how to use them. So non-judgmental, relatively easy to use. It can be quite a daunting task for anybody to have to provide first aid to somebody, but you do your best. That's all we can ask of you. So essentially, the process of finding someone, if you're in a community or somewhere where you find somebody that's unconscious, there is the potential that they've suffered an overdose to opioids. So we say to assess them, you use a principle called SAVE ME, the acronym, I think that's the word, sorry, is SAVE ME. So basically what you do is first you assess the situation. You find somebody, you're recognizing whether they've had an overdose or not. So if you have somebody that has lost consciousness, is unable to respond to loud speech or a request, if you take your knuckles and rub them on their sternum, if they don't respond to that, they're likely to have some medical distress, and it's possible that it could be an overdose. If they're unable to respond to a pinch, and they're very limp, kind of like our statue back here, our model. So there's two dummies in this video, me and this guy behind me here. So they don't respond to stimuli, they appear to be very limp. They have very slow breathing, or it's irregular. They'll take a couple breaths and then they won't, and then they'll breathe again. Or if they're not breathing completely, these are signs of overdose. If you take their pulse and they have a low pulse rate or irregular, or no pulse rate for that matter, that's possibly an overdose. If they're choking or gurgling or snoring, making funny vocal sounds, that's also an indication, a possibility of an overdose. If their skin is pale or cold to the touch, or if you look at fingernails or lips and they're blue, that's a medical emergency that would require the possibility of using the naloxone kit. The first thing you should do, though, when you encounter this type of situation is to assess the surroundings to make sure that you're safe. You're going into a situation, it's very terrifying. Make sure you're safe, and look to see if there's anyone that can help you. Like if there's somebody that you can just get to call 911 to help you out, just to say, okay, what time did we give this naloxone kit, etc. So look for help and ask people if you can help me or can you help me. And it's very terrifying, but be as assertive as you can. I need your help, please help me. So then you check to see if the person is not breathing. You place their head back by pulling their head back and lift their chin open. And if they're not breathing, there is a mask in the naloxone kit, a one-way breathing mask that you can use. It protects you as the user. We'll show you how to use that in the part 2 of this, the demonstration that we do today. So you check their airway, then you give them rescue breaths. Again, we'll show that in part 2. You evaluate after you've done the breathing, you say, okay, that didn't work, what should we do? And if you feel like you should use a naloxone kit, that's the part where we would get the naloxone kit out and use it. And one thing with the kit is if a person doesn't need the naloxone kit and you give it to them anyway, you're not going to hurt them. Naloxone is a drug that blocks the receptors, the opioid receptors, from the opioid. So it basically kicks them off. It's like kicking somebody off a chair or whatever, that they don't want to be there. So you will not harm somebody by giving them a naloxone kit. So that's an important thing to know. So we're going to go to plan 2 here, part 2. Here. So basically, let's say you come into a room or a situation where there's somebody that is basically prone. You check them. They don't appear to be breathing. You shake them. What you do then, you determine that they're not breathing. You can hold your hand by their nostrils, see if they're breathing. You can check for a pulse just by putting your hand down by their wrist. If you feel that they need medical attention, what you should do first is assess your safety. And secondly, call 911, especially if they're not breathing. Call them right away. Get somebody to help you. Like if there's somebody near, ask them to do it, because then they can help you out, and they're reassurance to you as well too. So we've come in and we found our practice person here not breathing. They don't appear to be breathing. They have no pulse. So first we're going to do is assess their airway. We're going to flip them over. And I'm very strong, so I can do this with one hand. So we flip the person over. We see that they're not breathing, so first thing we want to do is get them breathing. So basically you take their chin, pull their head back, pull their chin up, pull it open. In the naloxone kit is a breather. Now you can put gloves on. There is gloves in the kit. You can put them on really quickly. Again, if you're in a rush, they're probably going to rip like my gloves just did. But if you don't use them, it's not the end of the world. You just do your best with what you have to work with. So. Okay, so gloves are on. You unfold the breather and you put it over the person's mouth. There is a mouth protector and a spot for you to breathe in. So there's writing on the top side of the kit. You put that so that you can read it, essentially. This protects you from the person that you're giving the resuscitation to, in case they're sick, in case they have a communicable disease. This gives you total protection. So you put it in, tilt their head back, and then give a breath. And you're looking to the side just to see their chest should rise. And then you do it again. All at the time assessing whether they start breathing or not. If they start to breathe or continue to not be breathing, you can put them in what's called the recovery position. So basically, you've done this for about 5 minutes, they're not breathing. You say, okay, they have the symptoms of a possibility of an overdose. So then what you do is you can turn them on their side, and we're going to do that. So we're going to go on to part 3 here. Basically, we've determined the person's not breathing. We have called 911. We feel in our mind that the person should have a naloxone injection. So what we do is we turn the person on their side, turn them over. We'll support their head with their hand, and we'll turn them on their side the best we can, because when you give an injection to a person, you're basically giving it in the big muscle of their leg, which is the thigh muscle. So anywhere from the hip to the knee, you take this muscle here. You want to be in the center, and I mean, you don't have to be exacting or whatever. This is a big muscle to give a needle to. It's very straightforward. So you've got them in position to give the needle. So then what you do, you pop over to the naloxone kit. You grab a needle out. This is the naloxone. You take the top off your needle. And just fire the stuff on the ground, like just as you're using it. Just don't worry about aesthetics. You take the needle, put it into the naloxone kit, right to the end. You push it forward slightly and then pull the naloxone out of it. So essentially you'll see it filling with liquid naloxone. Basically you're emptying the entire contents of the vial, which is 1 ml, and then you go up to, so you've got 1 ml nice and clear there. Don't worry a lot about popping bubbles and stuff like that. It's not like they say in the old days where you have to get all the bubbles out. You're just going to give them naloxone. So at this point we have a naloxone syringe loaded, ready to go. So what you do is you just take it down, go back to your person that's in distress, roughly in the middle, the third of their leg, anywhere in here. You've got a needle, it's ready to go, and you can inject naloxone through clothes. It's fine to do that. Ideally it's through skin, so, but like we were talking earlier, there's only about 2 months a year in Canada that's possible. So what you do is you just do the injection. It can be done through clothes. So all you do, I'm left-handed, so you just hold your hand here, and whenever you're ready you just hold it straight like a 90-degree angle, and essentially what you're going to do is into the skin, 1-inch needle so it's not that far, and then press just nice and consistently into the skin till you hear a click. And then what's going to happen, all the medicine's into the skin, and then the click is actually the needle going into the vial, like so, or sorry, the needle going into the syringe. And what that does is it provides safety, because everybody's panicking, you're panicking, you don't accidentally poke yourself with the needle. So this is a naloxone injection given. Now, a couple important things is it takes about 2 to 5 minutes for the naloxone to work. So kind of that's where having a helper is good, because if you've got somebody there, you can say, okay, it's 110. So in 5 minutes, you can say, oh, it's still not working. So then you can go get a second one. Naloxone kits have 3 syringes in them, 3 vials of naloxone and 3 syringes ready to go. And so after 5 minutes, if you have no response and the EMS is not there yet, then you can give the second one exactly the same way we did the first one. So 2 to 5 minutes, it's going to seem like an eternity, but you know, do your best under the circumstances. Now, one thing to watch for when you're giving naloxone to somebody, it's literally a miracle drug. If it's going to work, it can be a miracle drug. So what I mean by that is this person might all of a sudden wake up, like pop up, and have no idea what has happened to them. They have no idea that they've overdosed. They will pop up and they will have no clue where they are. And they'll see you, and you're close to them, you're in their personal space. They could be aggravated, they could be violent, they could attack you. So you have to be really, really careful. Just again, they could come to, and so what are you doing to me, especially if it's a member of the opposite sex. And when we were talking earlier about ideally exposing the thigh, for most people that's taking their pants down. So they think that maybe you're sexually assaulting them, and they're going to be really angry with you. And so anyway, long story short is just beware that they'll be very confused. They'll be possibly angry with you. Just reassure them in a nice, calm voice to say, you've overdosed, I've used naloxone on you, the help is on the way, whether that's the EMS. A lot of times you're better just to say help is on the way instead of saying an ambulance or police. It's a kinder word to use, in my opinion, just to say help is on the way. And then if they will lie down or sit still, keep them in a position, give them some water, whatever's available to you to use. So essentially that is how to use a naloxone kit. And again, just to summarize, if it won't hurt someone if you use it and they were on a drug like crystal meth or something like that, it won't hurt them. It won't bring them out of a meth overdose, but it also won't hurt them. It'll help for the opioid drugs such as fentanyl and those drugs which are causing, basically when we say the opioid crisis, that's literally where a naloxone kit will be helpful. So yeah, and that's it in a nutshell. So free of charge at pharmacies in Alberta, totally anonymous. You can say, I need a naloxone kit. That's hard to say, and the pharmacist there will train you. If they don't train you, ask them to be trained on it. It's very simple. It's good to have if you get one, just to kind of look through it before you have to use it. And there is a little. There's a nice little booklet in here, how to use it basically and follow it. Basically gives you a nice how-to on both sides. Biggest thing is just kind of know how to use it, make sure you're safe, and good luck.